Jim, a bartender with over a decade of experience, considered himself quite knowledgeable about whiskey. One evening, a confident-looking man entered the bar and requested a 12-year-old scotch. Thinking he could pull a fast one, Jim filled the glass with a basic 3-year-old variant, assuming the man wouldn't notice the difference. However, upon tasting it, the man's displeasure was evident. He spat the liquid onto the bar, accusing Jim of serving a 3-year-old scotch instead of the requested 12-year-old. Surprised by the man's discernment, Jim decided to test him further. He poured a 6-year-old scotch, hoping to pass it off. Once again, the man immediately identified it, stating that it tasted like a 6-year-old variant, not the 12-year-old he had ordered. Murmurs spread across the bar as the regular patrons watched the unfolding drama. Feeling the weight of the eyes upon him and not wanting to compromise his reputation, Jim finally poured the man the premium 12-year-old scotch he had initially requested. The man tasted it, nodded in satisfaction, and it seemed like the ordeal was over. Just when everyone thought the show was finished, an old man named Tom, known as the resident prankster of the bar, decided to join in. Placing a glass in front of the Scotch expert, Tom challenged him to assess another drink. Without hesitation, the man took a sip, and his reaction was even more pronounced than before. He immediately spat out the liquid, exclaiming that it tasted awful, like piss. Tom, with a broad grin, leaned closer and asked, "All right, smarty pants, now guess how old I am." 3 men were reuniting at the local bar after many years, excited to catch up with each other. As they drank and talked, one of the men expressed, "I have the worst marriage ever." Confused, the others asked why. He explained that his wife refuses to sleep with him more than once a month. Sympathizing, the other men inquired about his solution. He replied, "Well, I regularly have intimate moments with that blonde woman over there by the pool table. Unlike my wife, she's up for anything." The men laughed, and then the second man shared, "Trust me, I have the worst marriage ever. My wife won't sleep with me more than once a year." Again, the others sympathized and asked how he dealt with it. He replied, "I also regularly have intimate time with that blonde over there by the pool table." Laughter ensued. Finally, the third man chimed in, "I, for sure, have the worst marriage ever." Intrigued, the others asked what was wrong, and he paused before saying, "Well, for one, she's always here playing pool." A large number of viewers watch my videos without a subscription. Therefore, subscribe to my channel so as not to miss new videos with funny jokes. In a small village, there was a renowned doctor known for his healing abilities. Feeling exhausted from the constant hospital duty, he decided to take a day off. Checking his schedule, he noticed 3 patients still scheduled for the day. Being the sole doctor in the village, he contemplated how to delegate the responsibility. Looking at his assistant, he thought that maybe the assistant could handle the patients for the day. Approaching him, the doctor asked, "I want you to take care of the clinic and handle my patients for today." The assistant agreed, saying, "Yes, sir." The doctor left for the day, leaving the assistant worried about how to play the role of a doctor for just one day. To his surprise, the first patient arrived quickly, and they proceeded to the examination room. At the end of the day, the doctor returned and inquired about the assistant's day. The assistant, looking pleased, replied, "Yes, sir." The doctor, curious, asked about the patient's problems and the advice given. The assistant proudly shared, "The first one had a headache, so I gave him Tylenol. Bravo. The second one complained of stomach burning, and I gave him mallow, sir. Bravo, bravo. You are good at this." The doctor then inquired about the third patient. The assistant excitedly recounted, "Sir, I was sitting here when suddenly the door opened and a woman entered. She undressed, took off everything, and laid down on the table, saying, 'Help me. For 5 years I've not seen any man.'" "Oh my, what did you do?" asked the doctor. The assistant replied confidently, "I put eye drops in her eyes." After 30 years of marriage, a husband and wife decide to seek counseling. When asked about the issues, the wife launches into a tirade, listing every problem they've ever had in their lengthy marriage. She covers neglect, lack of intimacy, emptiness, loneliness, and feeling unloved and unlovable. The therapist patiently listens to her extensive list of unmet needs. After allowing her to express herself, the therapist gets up, walks around the desk, and asks the wife to stand. He then surprises her by embracing and kissing her passionately. The husband watches with a raised eyebrow as the woman becomes silent and sits down, seemingly dazed. Turning to the husband, the therapist says, "This is what your wife needs at least 3 times a week. Can you do this?" The husband responds, "Well, I can drop her off here on Mondays and Wednesdays, but on Fridays, I fish." A newlywed sailor receives news from the Navy that he will be stationed far away from home on a remote island in the South Pacific for 2 years. After a few weeks, he starts missing his new wife terribly, so he decides to write her a letter. In the letter, he expresses his longing and mentions the constant presence of young and attractive native girls, causing him significant temptation. He asks for a hobby to divert his mind. In response, his wife sends him a harmonica with a note, suggesting that he learns to play it. When his tour of duty finally concludes, he excitedly returns to his wife and expresses his eagerness to engage in passionate love. However, she interrupts him with a wave of her hand, saying, "First, let's see how well you play that harmonica." A young man boards a Navy ship, and an older, weather-beaten sailor, assigned to show him the ropes, takes him on a comprehensive tour of the vessel. After exploring various sections, including the engine room, navigation room, and mess hall, they reach the upper decks. Feeling a sense of camaraderie, the new recruit decides to ask a personal question about how the sailors handle their desires during long stretches at sea. The older sailor laughs heartily and leads him to a secluded spot on the deck. There, nestled between some crates, is a weathered barrel with a hole in its side. The older sailor explains that the barrel has been a loyal companion to many sailors, serving a unique purpose. He suggests that if the new recruit ever feels desperate, he can use the hole in the barrel for relief, assuring him that it's better than it sounds. As months pass, the new sailor reflects on the barrel. One night, feeling adventurous, he sneaks up to the deck and decides to give it a try. To his amazement, the experience turns out to be incredibly pleasurable, surpassing his expectations. The next day, he excitedly shares his newfound appreciation for the barrel with the older sailor. Expressing disbelief, he mentions that he might use it every day. The older sailor grins and agrees but adds a caveat, saying the new recruit can use it any day except Thursdays. Confused, the new sailor asks why Thursdays are off limits. The older sailor replies, "Because on Thursdays it's your turn to be in the barrel."